Hi, my name is Felina Rivera. I'm an attorney and I am one of the owners of Renaissance Legal Solutions along with my partner Kendra Dotson. Today I'm going to go over the cannabis legislation that's been presented in the state of Oklahoma by the House and the Senate. I've already summarized all of this in a document that I'm happy to share with anybody who wants a copy of that. The legislative session is moving along. They've been in session since February 7th. And there were initially over 100 bills proposed pertaining to cannabis law in our state. Some of those have not moved forward in committee, and so today I'm just going to focus on the bills that have been proposed that are appearing to be moving forward either in the House or the Senate or both. So first, I'm going to go over House Bill 3019. This has been proposed by Representative Fettgatter, and it is involving packaging requirements. It would remove requirements for all packaging to be opaque, allowing for clear containers to view products, but it would add a definition for exit packaging so that it essentially requires dispensaries to place products in opaque packaging whenever you make that purchase. That particular bill has passed the committee. It has not yet passed the House. And so, just keep in mind that any of these bills, they are not laws yet. Laws have to first pass either the House or the Senate, depending on where they are initially proposed. Then they have to go to the other side. So if it's proposed in the House first and passes the House, then it will go to the Senate for a vote. And along the way, the bills and the language of the bills can alter and change up to the very last minute, which will be May 27th. That's the end of the legislative session this season. So just keep that in mind. And if you have a strong opinion about one of these bills, contact your legislature, contact your representative, contact your senator, and let them know. I'm gonna do my best to leave my opinions out and just give you the facts. But if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is in the description of this video. Moving on past that bill, we've got House Bill 3037. This is pertaining to medical marijuana sales tax allocations. It does seem that everybody wants a piece of the pie. As we all know, tax allocations from the sale of medical marijuana, the tax revenue that's been raised is significant. This particular bill would allocate $5 million of the revenue from medical marijuana sales to municipal road drilling activity revolving fund. That has passed the House actually, and will be going on to the Senate for a full vote there. This would be for use by municipalities to do road repairs. So that doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing. We'll see if the Senate agrees with the House and votes on that to pass as well. House Bill 3083 is the next one. It is pertaining to medical marijuana sales tax allocations again. This particular one would designate 55% of revenue collected for medical marijuana sales to operating the OMMA, the Oklahoma Medical Marijuana Authority. This is not to exceed $36 million. Then 33.75% of that revenue would be allocated to state public common school building equalization fund. Another 11.25% would go to the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and that amounts not to exceed $7.5 million. That particular bill passed committee on March 1st. It has not yet been voted on by the full House yet. Moving on to House Bill 3208. This particular bill proposed by Representative Cornwell was one of many that was proposed to place a cap on the number of licenses that OMMA issues. This one would declare and establish a moratorium on processing and issuing new medical marijuana licenses. And this would be for any amount of time that the OMMA deems necessary. So this is one of the bills that I think that many of you will have an opinion on and may want to contact your legislature about. It has passed committee. It has not yet been voted on by the full House, but it appears to be moving forward. Moving on to House Bill 3279. This has been a topic of conversation in the cannabis community that I've seen online. It proposes to create what's called the Oklahoma Distributed Ledger Technology Assets Offering Act. Really, this essentially would allow for the development of a cryptocurrency to be used for the regulation of for the sale of marijuana, of medical marijuana sales in the state. It's not just specific to medical marijuana. It's actually just the first place it would be implemented is with medical marijuana sales. There is a lot to this bill. It's very complex. I know I said I wasn't going to interject my opinion, but in my opinion, the way that the law reads would be very complicated to actually implement. And I don't see that even if it did pass, it actually being implemented anytime soon. I know that this is being done in an effort to really monitor more closely the sales and be able to accurately tax medical marijuana sales. But again, I just don't know the practicability of this. So we'll see if it moves forward. But it has passed the House, so it will be going on to the Senate next. The next bill is House Bill 3347, proposed by Representative Fettgatter. This would allow for state tax deductions for medical marijuana businesses that are normally disallowed. If you are in the industry or own a business in the industry, you're very well aware of the IRS code 280E of the Internal Revenue Code that disallows any illegal business, which marijuana is considered illegal, still on a federal level. It disallows your normal business tax deductions that you can take as a business owner, and it's very frustrating, and it is a strain on the industry. So I do think a lot of people will be pleased with this particular bill. It would, at least on the state level, allow for business owners to take those normal business tax deductions. And this particular bill has passed committee, but it has not yet been voted on the full House quite yet. Moving on to House Bill 3634, also proposed by Representative Fettgatter. This would create a wholesaler license. This would allow entities holding a license to purchase and sell medical marijuana on behalf of other medical marijuana businesses in the state. Right now, we have standalone transport licenses, and any entity holding a transport license, a standalone transport license, not one that's issued along with your grow or processing or dispensary license, but those who have that individual transport license, those would actually be converted and be considered wholesaler license if this particular bill passes. And those holding a wholesaler license would then be allowed to contract with multiple licensed medical marijuana businesses to package and store and transport products within the state. And if you have a wholesaler license, you would also be required to track all of your distribution using the seed-to-sale tracking system. This has passed committee. I personally, in my legal practice, have seen a lot of deals gone wrong with so-called brokers who have no medical marijuana license, business license, no real qualifications. I see this as a fix to that. It is addressing a problem. I've seen a lot of contract disputes and lawsuits that I've handled involving broker deals gone wrong. And so I think this might be a remedy for some of that, and I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Moving on to House Bill, let's see here, which one? House Bill 3734, again proposed by Representative Fettgatter, who is very active in the state Congress involving cannabis legislation. This particular bill would really overhaul the licensing process and the requirements. It would create a temporary license. So any business owner or potential business owner who's wanting to get involved in the cannabis space would have to first get a temporary license, and that would be valid for 180 days, extendable on 90-day periods until you can have a full inspection and get to the point where you are approved for a full license. There has been some concern about this particular bill and its increased costs to business owners. It's not super significant, You would have to pay $1,000 for that first temporary license, and then you would still have to pay a $2,500 fee for a full license if you wanted to do that. But I do also see this as a potential for if there are temporary spots, say there is a festival and you want to have a temporary license in a certain location for your dispensary, this may make that possible. But the language of this particular bill is of course not finalized, so we'll just have to see how this moves along. It has passed a House committee on March 3rd, but has not yet been voted on by the full House yet. So it's moving forward, but not quickly. So we'll just see what happens. House Bill 3752, again proposed by Representative Fettgatter. It addresses crime. It creates a penalty. It creates a crime for damaging land as a grower. If you are growing or harvesting medical marijuana on a piece of real property and you just abandon that and you don't take the time to restore the land back to its original condition, that's going to be punishable now by a crime, by a misdemeanor, or imprisonment of up to 1 year and a fine of $1,000, or by both, if this passes. So it did pass committee and has not yet been voted on by the full House yet, but appears to be moving forward. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I see this as an act that is meant to help protect the land in our state. House Bill 3813 just recently revealed the actual language that was going to be proposed by Representative Stinson. This is a comprehensive bill. It essentially allows OMMA, it really deputizes the OMMA. It allows them to take some actual physical action. They would be allowed to, under this particular bill, seize illegal marijuana products, make a referral for charges to law enforcement for violations of the law. It would allow investigators to essentially become peace officers and allow them to carry weapons, allow them to make arrests. And so this is giving OMMA and their employees more authority to really enforce their own rules and regulations. It did pass committee on March 3rd, so it appears to be moving forward, but has not yet been voted on in the House. House Bill 3827 addresses new grower licensee requirements. And this would require, as of November 1, 2022, if passed, for licensed outdoor grow facilities to register with the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture as an environmentally sensitive crop. Registration would provide notice to commercial and private pesticide applicators of the location of those medical marijuana crops and help minimize the potential for damage from pest control drift. I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. The agricultural community has proposed far more overreaching solutions to the problem, to this particular problem of pesticide sprays. You know, if you are growing a medical marijuana crop outside and you're next to a wheat farm or a corn crop, for example, and they want to spray for pests, as you know, you are being held to a higher standard than even the food that we eat. And so if those pesticides get onto your crop, it creates the potential for your crop to be ruined or to fail testing requirements. And so this particular bill is really helping address that by creating notice. So you're going to be put on notice, you're going to be putting other people on notice of where your crop is, and you're going to be registered as an environmentally sensitive crop. So this particular bill did pass the House on March 3rd, is moving forward in the House, but has not yet been voted on by the full House yet. House Bill 3891, Representative Townley has proposed this. It creates restrictions on the location of commercial grows, essentially putting them in that same restricted distance from a school that dispensaries already have to adhere to of 1,000 feet. Of course, all these bills that address the location of things generally grandfather in pre-existing licensed businesses. That bill has passed committee, but not yet been voted on by the full House. House Bill 3905, proposed by Representative Pfeiffer, addresses revenue and tax liability. This particular bill would hold individuals liable personally for whomever it is that is responsible for handling the withholding or collection and remittance of taxes, or had direct control, supervision, or responsibility for filing those returns and making payments of taxes that are due to the state of Oklahoma. So, it's important in your business that you designate someone who knows what they're doing and that they understand that they can be held personally liable if this bill passes for the tax revenue. So you've got to pay your taxes to the man. You just got to do it. So this bill has passed committee, not yet voted on in the full House yet, but does appear to be moving forward. House Bill 3929 has also passed committee. This would allow for what's called process validation. It creates an acceptable testing practice for medical marijuana that is really personalized. Again, trying not to express my personal opinion, but just knowing the challenges that some of my clients have who have unique business structures and unique products. I think this is a great thing. It allows for you to voluntarily, and this is a voluntary process, to work with OMMA and say, hey, this is how my product is produced, and I need to get you to approve the process by which we are testing our product so that you know that it's safe. And so when your product doesn't fit into a cookie cutter type test batch, this is a great alternative. So I personally think this is a wonderful solution, and I am glad to see that this is moving forward. House Bill 3971 was just newly released with the language, this creates an Oklahoma Secret Shopper Act. This would allow secret shoppers to go and purchase enough product for 5 laboratory tests from 50 dispensaries, and that amount would increase to 10% of all dispensaries by 2025. And there are some penalties and consequences if the products that they're buying through the Secret Shopper Act don't pass the muster. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, not necessarily a good thing. It's just, we're seeing, the OMMA, the state wanting to better monitor and regulate this industry. And so this is just another one of those things that is coming forward, and it has passed a House committee, not yet voted on in the full House, but does appear to be moving forward. House Bill 4055 is another one that has moved forward through committee, but not yet voted on in the House. It would require public utilities to report to the OMMA the amount of any commodity supplied by public utility to a licensed medical marijuana grow operation. It does seem that grows are being picked on this session. The reports would be required to be submitted monthly in electronic format, to be integrated with OMMA's seed-to-sale tracking software, and it would require OMMA to develop some rules and procedures for metering the usage of water, electricity, and other forms of commodities that are used by growers, even those that aren't supplied by public utility companies. So that would include monitoring the usage of well water as well as gas-powered generators. I am already fully aware that there are going to be people who have issues with that, particularly if you are operating off of a private well. But that does appear to be moving forward. So again, if you have issues with any of these bills, contact your legislature. House Bill 4056 is also moving forward. This would require medical marijuana the medical marijuana testing laboratories that are contracting with the OMMA to provide recommendations for brands and models of equipment and standards to be utilized by licensed testing laboratories. And this would be required to be done by June 1st of 2023. And so then by June 1st, 2024, all testing laboratories, all licensed testing laboratories would be required to renew their licensed business and be subject to any new or modified rules. So I think this bill is just trying to address some of the inconsistency in some of the testing laboratories that are out there. And so, good or bad, it again looks like the state is trying to regulate this industry. And this is just another thing that they're doing. I don't necessarily think it's bad that we have consistent and uniform testing results from our laboratories. So this has passed committee and will be moving forward for a House vote soon. The next one is House Bill 4287. This is referred to as the Oklahoma Flour Pre-Packaging Act. And I have already seen a lot of people very unhappy with this particular bill. So contact Representative Davis. He is the author of this particular bill. It essentially does away with deli-style sales completely. It would require growers or processors who sell flour, trim, keef, shake, any non-concentrated product to be sold in packages that are no smaller than 1/8 ounce and no larger than 1 ounce. So no longer would you be able to walk into the dispensary and watch them pull flour out of a deli-style jar and put it into a package and sell it to you there. It would have to come pre-packaged from a grow or a processing facility to the dispensaries. And this did pass committee. It has not yet been voted on by the full House, but it does appear to be moving forward. So if you have issue with that, be sure to get on the phone. House Bill 4288 is also moving forward. This would require labels on perishable medical marijuana products, which really is everything, to include a maximum 6-month expiration or use by date if the product has not undergone stability testing. There is, the proposed bill is lacking language as to what stability testing is or what that definition may mean. Again, this is all in the works, so we'll just have to see, but that is what's being proposed, and it has passed the committee, but not yet been voted on by the full House. One quick bill, House Bill 4411, would remove the limit on the number of post-licensure inspections that the OMMA can conduct on your licensed business. That has passed committee. It appears to be moving forward. Let's see here. House Bill 4427 would require signs to be posted with the business license and other information at the entrance of each grow, and failure to erect proper signage would result in immediate revocation of your license. And let's see, that's really it for House bills that appear to be moving forward. I did not go over any of the House bills that have had no movement since first introduced early in February. If you want to see a summary of all of the bills, though, please email me or contact my office, and I'm happy to send you a copy of my summary. And I will continue to monitor all of the legislation as it proceeds through the end of May and the session ending, when we will have a better idea of what the laws pertaining to our industry are going to look like going forward. So on to the proposed bills that the Senate has proposed. First, we've got Senate Bill 1101, which, again, contact your representative, your senator, if you're unhappy with these particular proposals. This one would provide that agricultural products, as they relate to agricultural sales tax exemptions, would no longer include growing, harvesting, or processing of medical marijuana. Right now, you can get a sales tax exemption for some of the equipment that you need for your grow. This would do away with that. This has passed the Finance Committee in the Senate. It's been referred to the Appropriations Committee. So it's moving forward slowly in the Senate, but has not been voted on by the full Senate quite yet. Senate Bill 1219, proposed by Senator Ballard. I honestly don't quite understand the logic behind this. First, it would require edible medical marijuana products to be in clear, child-resistant containers. Okay. But then it would also require solid edibles to be made in the shape of a marijuana leaf. Now, I don't know if this is to make sure that children don't get a hold of these products, but I think one thing that escapes some of these legislators is that these products are expensive. We are not trying to give them to our children or let them get them by accident. We don't want to give them away. They are things that we purchase that have a significant value, and so while I guess I understand maybe there's a concern there that it would be mistaken for a child's or safe candy. I don't see any other industry having the same kind of nitpicky requirements. I mean, this would practically require every business out there, every processor out there making edibles to completely change their process and buy molds that are in the shape of marijuana leaves. It seems honestly a little bit silly, but it has passed the Senate committee and appears to be moving forward. So that's Senate Bill 1219. If you don't like it, give your senator a call. Senate Bill 1302 is reflective of one of the bills I talked about in the House. It would add the sale of medical marijuana to the list of authorized instances where the Oklahoma Tax Commission can file proposed assessments against a company, and the individuals who are responsible for remitting taxes would be held personally liable for the gross receipts of those sales tax. So that has also passed committee and moving forward in the Senate. Senate Bill 1338. Now this particular bill appears to remove Delta 8 from being considered marijuana. It's a little confusing the way that it's been drafted. I think it's just reflective of a lack of understanding of the industry, but it again specifically modifies the term marijuana to exclude hemp containing no more than 0.3% of Delta 8, reflecting the same limitation as Delta 9 for the product to qualify as hemp and not marijuana. It seems to attempt to align the term marijuana with the definition found in Title 63, which is silent regarding Delta 8. So it kind of creates some inconsistency, and I think the bill needs a little bit of work if it's going to move forward. However, it has passed committee, so we'll see what happens moving forward. Senate Bill 1367, it would just increase discipline for non-compliance for people who are intentionally diverting medical marijuana. So that fee was $200 before, now it's not less than $400 if this bill passes, or up to $1,000 for a second offense. And there, after a second offense, you would be subject to license revocation. So this is just placing some harsher penalties on bad actors, which isn't necessarily a bad thing for those of us who are trying to do things the right way. This passed committee on February 14th, but not yet voted on by the full Senate. This particular bill has passed the full Senate and will be going on to the House for a vote. Senate Bill 1511. This is regarding user rights and zoning restrictions. It prohibits medical marijuana commercial growers, again picking on growers, from being located within 1,000 feet of any public or private school. There's already some inconsistency in the law with regard to how the measurement is done from that school to the dispensary. The rules that are actually in place right now, issued by the OMMA, don't match the legislation that passed last session. I don't know why it's so hard for this to be a consistent measurement basis, but everybody seems to have an opinion on how that measurement should be done. The front door, the property line, the entryway. We'll see how it ends up. I'm not even going to go into the details because it'll probably change. However, again, this would grandfather in pre-existing grows that were, if you're within 1,000 feet of a school already, you're already grandfathered in so long as you keep up the status of your license. That did pass the Senate, and it will be going on to the state for a full, or to the House for a full vote. Senate Bill 1543. This bill would separate OMMA from the Oklahoma State Department of Health and make it its own agency. If you remember last session, they tried to move the OMMA from under the umbrella of the Health Department to under the umbrella of the Able Commission. That did not pass. Now they're proposing it just be its own standalone agency. It would keep all existing contracts in place, everybody's license, who's already been licensed, those would stay in place, but it would really just give OMMA a little bit more authority to be its own individual standalone agency. And there are several bills that I've seen this session that sort of try to empower the OMMA to do that. And so this does appear to be moving forward. It passed the Appropriations Committee at the Senate level on March 3rd, but has not yet been voted on by the full Senate just yet. Senate Bill 1665 would create a low-income adult Medicaid fund, and the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority would be authorized to expend money from the fund to provide medical assistance under Oklahoma's Medicaid program to low-income adults, and it would provide that 32.15% of the revenue derived from the tax on retail sales of medical marijuana to be diverted to this fund. So it is medicine. We're diverting some money to a medical fund. It does appear to be moving forward. That passed committee in the Senate has not yet been voted on by the full Senate, but it does appear to be moving forward. Senate Bill 1668, this has passed committee. It provides that property seized by law enforcement that cultivated, distributed, processed, or sold marijuana or held by an entity not licensed by the OMMA or in violation of any medical marijuana laws, that product would be subject to civil asset forfeiture. And so then so that means the state can take that product and they can process it and profit from it. So it just empowers law enforcement and the state of Oklahoma to seize wrongfully grown and cultivated medical marijuana product. And that has passed committee and will be going on to a vote by the full Senate. Senate Bill 1693 would require medical marijuana growers to obtain a water permit from the Oklahoma Water Resources Board before being able to get your license. Actually, I misspoke. This actually would still allow you to get your license, but if you don't get a water permit within 90 days after applying for it, then the OMMA would be able to revoke your medical marijuana license. I foresee this becoming prerequisite. It hasn't so far, but that's just my personal guess as to how this bill may alter as it moves forward. But it has passed committee and appears to be moving forward for a full vote in the Senate later. Senate Bill 1697, now this one again picking on growers. It would require a bond of $25,000 to be furnished to the state before you can grow. And that bond would be to cover the area of land within the permitted area where your business will be growing medical marijuana. That has passed committee and is moving forward. Senate Bill 1704 is just an increase and change to penalties for unauthorized sales of medical marijuana. That is moving forward. It passed committee on February 14th, and maybe moving forward. Senate Bill 1718, again pertaining to growers. It would require the OMMA to conduct an inspection and financial audit of all current commercial grow licensees and their operations prior to awarding any more commercial grow licenses. So I definitely see this as a response to, last year we had the foreign financial attestation requirement added. We are trying, and the state is trying to weed out some bad actors and some foreign investment money in our state from, foreigners coming in and buying up our land. I'll keep my personal opinions to myself, but I think it would be pretty impractical to actually conduct a financial audit of every single grow in our state, and I think it's quite invasive. So we'll see what happens. It has passed the Commerce Committee in the Senate and has been referred to the Appropriations Committee, but has not yet been voted on by the full Senate. Senate Bill 1726 addresses location restrictions. It just adds medical marijuana dispensaries from being within 1,000 feet of technology centers, so adding technology centers essentially to that restriction of same restriction for school locations, and it adds commercial growers to that same setback requirement. That has passed committee and is moving forward. Senate Bill 1737 would require medical marijuana businesses to post conspicuously an easy-to-read sign at each licensed property entrance with your business license number, your telephone number, and information to reach the medical marijuana business licensee. That's passed committee and is moving forward in the Senate. Senate Bill 1755 would create a provisional license. It would, require the OMMA to determine if all relevant local licensees and permits have been issued by the municipality prior to issuing an applicant a medical marijuana business. We already do that. That's what a certificate of compliance is for. So, some of this seems a little redundant and again shows a reflection of a lack of understanding of how things are already done in the industry. There's a little bit more to it than that. That, of course, is a little more invasive, and so if you want more information on the details and particulars of that bill, please feel free to reach out to me. But it's passed committee, moving on through the Senate, but I don't know that it's really much different than the rules and laws that we already have in place. Senate Bill 1779, again, requires you to post your license with easy to read signage. Okay, we can do that. That has passed committee and is moving forward in the Senate. Senate Bill 1802 has actually passed the Senate and is going on to the going on to the House for a vote. This really is just a consolidation and cleanup bill. As you are probably becoming aware of, as we're going over all of these bills that seem to be redundant, as you try to keep up with all the bills and all the laws, I know it's difficult. This particular bill actually just proposes to merge and consolidate and repeal some of the multiple versions of statutes that are out there. It's passed the Senate, it's going on to the House. It's a good thing. I think it's just to clarify and hopefully make it a little bit easier for all of you to understand what's going on and what the rules and laws are actually supposed to say. So that is moving forward. Senate Bill 1841 gives the OMMA authority for violations to deny licenses or revoke or suspend anyone who's been found to violate state laws pertaining to the Department of Environmental Quality, to the DEQ, the Oklahoma Water Resource Board, the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, or the Corporation Commission, or any other agency. Is essentially if you're found to be violating laws that not necessarily just the OMMA has created or under the OMMA's rules, or maybe these are just rules of the DEQ, rules of the Water Resource Board that you're not aware of yet, and you're violating them, it empowers the OMMA to suspend your license. So it's going to be extra important for you to work with professionals to make sure you're up to speed on all those laws. I'm an attorney and it's hard for me to keep up with all of it. So, please be sure to reach out to professionals who can help you. If not me, someone who is qualified and understands all of the rules of all of those state agencies, not just the OMMA, because you've got to remember that it's more than just the OMMA that is monitoring what you're doing in our state. Senate Bill 1848 would just alter where the tax revenue that is being raised by medical marijuana sales goes. It would place 65 million of that to the State Public Commons School Building Equalization Fund, and create 6% apportionment to the newly created Drug and Alcohol Rehabilitation Fund. So that's passed committee. Again, we just see different agencies wanting a piece of the action. They want a piece of the reward of what we've done in our state, of what you, the people, decided to enact when the state legislature couldn't do it themselves. So, everybody wants a piece of that pie, the piece of the success that we've seen, and that's just another example of that. That's really all that I have pertaining to cannabis bills. I am going to briefly go over one exciting bill I think most of you have also become aware of or at least heard of by now. It's pertaining to psilocybin. It's House Bill 3414. It actually has passed the House and will be going on to the Senate, which is just sort of crazy to me, but exciting. This particular bill would allow for universities and institutions of higher education to research and do clinical trials on psilocybin for the treatment of certain ailments, and it would provide requirements for studies or clinical trials. The State Department of Health would be required to issue some rules regulating that. And then one exciting, nice thing about this would that it would create an exemption from criminal and civil penalties and provide for specific civil penalties for non-compliance. Essentially, if you're caught with 1.5 ounces of psilocybin or less, it would be a $400 fine. It becomes a civil penalty rather than a criminal action, which is what we saw happen with marijuana as well when that first came about. So I don't necessarily think anybody is going to see that as a bad thing, at least in this community. So that appears to be moving forward and has passed the House and will be going on to the Senate for a full vote. That's all I have for you now. Again, if you've got questions on any of these bills or the details of these bills, or you want a copy of my summary, of my written summary here, I'm happy to share that with you. Just reach out. You can email me. I'm with Renaissance Legal Solutions. This is a law firm that I own with my partner, Kendra Dotson, and both of us are here to help you. And please feel free to give us a call, email us anytime, and we'll do what we can to help you. Thanks.